Hi, everybody. It's Paul Ramsey, and I'm joined by Heddy Keith, who is presenting a one-hour seminar at the 2017 NGH convention. The title is Post-Traumatic Stress in the Black Community. How are you, Heddy?
I'm doing fine, Paul. How are you today?
I'm great, and I'm glad to have you here. Now, we've never met, so if you could, please just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into hypnotism. How'd you come into the hypnotism community?
Well, started a long time ago. I love psychology, and in college I took every psychology course I possibly could from birth all the way up to older age. And then in 1993, I was smoking 2 packs a day, actually 2.5 packs a day. And I went and got hypnotized, to group hypnotism here in Milwaukee, and I haven't smoked a cigarette since. So I know that hypnosis works. It worked for me.
Oh, cool.
And then in 2014, my pastor, she's a certified instructor, and she was having a class, and I'd like to take it. So here I am.
Nice. Nice.
And I'm a certified instructor now as well.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Tell me about how you chose to do this topic for the convention.
Why this topic is important?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started with looking at what I could do that it wasn't already being done.
Sure. Smart.
And so it wasn't, there wasn't very much on post-traumatic stress.
Right.
And nothing on post-traumatic stress in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started at. And I have been researching and reading about post-traumatic stress even before I started with hypnosis. I was doing research for my memoir.
Oh, okay.
Writing my memoir, which is about to be finished editing, and did a lot with post-traumatic stress and learning about that and working with veterans who had post-traumatic stress disorder, teaching them journal writing skills.
Okay.
So, and I felt that it was important because it affects my community.
Sure.
All the violence and people who are victims and perpetrators and their families and neighbors and innocent bystanders that see this image of violence in their life. It's affecting them.
Right. So I think that's an important distinction that you just made, is initially looking, and it would seem, and my first thought would be that it would be easier to find literature about post-traumatic stress in veterans and in active service members, right? But certainly that's not the only kind of post-traumatic stress that hypnotists can help people with.
Exactly.
So you're really then going toward the idea of culturally based stress or almost like community-based stress risks. Does that sound right?
Making them aware that there's post-traumatic stress in the community and culturally.
Yeah.
Because of all the violence that's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially here in Milwaukee, but it's all over the nation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you find that people, do they open up pretty well to that? Do they seem open to letting you use hypnosis to help them with that?
Some could be much more.
Yeah.
But I do have some that are open to hypnosis.
Yeah.
To solve their problems.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It says in your description, I thought this was interesting because I hadn't thought of it before, but I mean, negative beliefs about who they are as American Black people. I mean, that's a big part of what we do with everyone, right? Is we look for what are the limiting beliefs, the negative beliefs that people hold about themselves.
Right.
And talk to me a little bit more about that. What are the things that you find yourself most often trying to help people understand about that?
Oh, the negative self-talk that they have.
Yeah.
Things that go back to childhood that they've been told again and again, and they become to believe that.
Yeah.
Those negative beliefs, and it's hard when they've been hearing that all their life, that they'll never be anything. I remember a veteran telling me that his dad always told him, "You'll never amount to anything. You'll never be anything." And this was a grown man talking.
Yeah.
One of my other clients, 70 in her early 70s, her mother used to tell her that she had a big forehead and a big lower lip, and she needs to tuck it in, and this, that, and the other. And at 73 years old, she was crying.
Yeah.
So these things from childhood really have a dramatic
Yeah.
effect on adults if they're
They
never
stay,
dealt with.
right? They
I
so
just got through taking Don Martin's class on age regression just this past Saturday. Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
because
cool.
I believe a lot of these issues start in childhood.
Yeah.
They do too. Yeah.
How, if folks come and they spend this hour with you, Heddy, how do you think, like, where's the value in investing that time with you in terms of helping them go back and be more effective as practitioners?
Well, I think that they will see the value because maybe they weren't even aware that these things have post traumatic stress
Right.
in this group of people. This is a whole new population that
Yeah.
hypnotists can work with
Yeah.
that they probably never even considered
Yeah.
or thought about.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. That's really smart. Um, and what, if you can, is there like a story you can tell me about how you, like, when did the light bulb go off for you that this was worth more time and investigation?
As I was writing my book, I had my
Yeah.
breakthrough. When I was a teenager, I fell in love and with a boy outside of my hometown. I lived in Pennsylvania and he lived in Akron, Ohio. And we wrote and fell in love and kept connecting through writing over the years. This was during the Vietnam War.
Okay.
He wrote and asked me to marry him. I didn't know he was in Vietnam. And I wrote back, said, yeah, I'll marry you, yeah. And I never heard another thing from him.
Really?
So, yeah, so after 37 years to be exact, I went back to find out what happened. And because I had heart trouble and had heart bypass surgery, and I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay,
Yep.
but she says there's one of the results of hypertension and heart diseases holding on to long-standing past hurts.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that I had
Yeah.
that I was still holding on to
Yep.
subconsciously.
Yep. Makes
And
sense.
that whole thing had just been suppressed.
Wow.
And that was post-traumatic stress.
And so I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's another aspect of this, right? Is that I think the general public so often thinks that post-traumatic stress is always like you had this really awful, violent thing happen to you, because that's so often how it gets talked about is
Mm-hmm.
soldiers in war or
Right.
people who were the victim of a violent assault or a sexual assault, or we often only talk about those most violent and aggressive aspects of experiences which cause, but there's a whole other range of post-traumatic stress that people are experiencing that I think they don't even think about it as post-traumatic stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just everyday problems. Like we
Yeah.
have that tag, we say helping ordinary people with everyday problems. This is ordinary people with everyday
Yeah.
problems that we can help with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this topic. I'm glad you're talking about it, because definitely it's sort of a rare thing to see compared to how some of the other topics get repeated over and over and over again. So good for you for
Mm-hmm.
doing that. If people want to learn more about you, how can they do that?
My website is HK Hypnosis Milwaukee.com. I had to do Milwaukee because Hong Kong has HK Hypnosis.
Ah,
So it's Milwaukee. And then I'm on Facebook too, HK Hypnosis at Facebook.com.
okay. All right. Hey, just a reminder, you guys. So we're talking about August 13th at 1 p.m. That's the 1 p.m. slot on Sunday. Post-traumatic stress in the Black community with Heddy Keith. Heddy, thanks for making this time for me.
You're welcome, Paul. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.